Here are my top 3 tips for using your friend as a realtor. Tip number 1, be clear about the experience. You want the same experience that everyone else gets. It's very easy in the process if you have a friend or a family member who happens to get their license to want to use and work with them. But you gotta be careful in this process. Just because someone has a real estate license doesn't mean that they're actually gonna show the actions and act in a fiduciary manner in order to make sure that your best interests are aligned. This is really common when using a friend or a family member. Now I'm gonna be clear, a lot of my friends and family members have used me as a realtor. However, we tackle these 3 tips. So here's my first one. Make sure that you have the same experience that you give everyone else. So if that real estate agent has a process where they have a buyer consultation up front, followed by a phone call with their lender, followed by a phone call with their home inspector or attorneys, etc., follow that process. It's really easy to get into the, hey man, it's all good, let's just go see those houses right away. And for the realtor at the same time to be like, oh, okay, it's just my friend, it's my brother, whoever it is. And they actually miss out on that process. Why is that important? Is because they've likely established that process for the very reasons of making sure that hiccups don't show up in the process or hurdles that you really can't overcome show up later on. Every time we get out of the same process that we've designed to make sure that clients have an amazing experience, it goes south. So always ask them, give me the same experience that you would give anyone else. And that also means tone and telling the truth. Many times I've gone to a friend or a family member's house and I'm thinking to myself, man, I know their whole life, I know their kids and what they want to do, and I want to try to, maybe we can get them a little bit more from their house. And when you do that and you overprice, it ends up not helping anybody. So my strong recommendation is tell everyone up front, guys, we're just going to speak the truth and we're going to speak it in love, and we're going to tell you exactly what you need to hear, when you need to hear it, and how you need to hear it. So that means you need to tell me the truth about my house, what's it actually worth, what's this thing going to sell for, what do I need to do in order to list this property and get the most I can on the market. I don't want to overprice this thing, I don't want to underprice it as well. What's the process you would follow to give me the same experience that you give everybody else? My second tip to using your friend as a realtor, here it is. Set the expectations clearly up front. So in our first tip, we made sure that everyone has the same experience. Well, the second one is setting those expectations very clearly up front. On the buy side, it can be very tempting for a realtor to say, oh, this is my friend, and I don't want them to, overpay by even $1 or anything like that, where they might suggest to someone else, you know what, in this market, there's 15 offers on the table. We're gonna actually look at the potentials of paying over the appraised value if that's your objective in order to secure the home and you know that you're gonna be here for a long time. That's an honest conversation that sometimes realtors have to have with their clients. They may be apprehensive to have that if that's a family member. So you wanna be upfront and clear. What are my expectations? You know what, David? My expectation is that I wanna buy a home in this market. What's that honestly like? Well, it's honestly like where you might be paying $5,000 or $10,000 over a list price, or you might be able to get a home inspection, but you might not be able to ask for many items. Those are honest conversations that you want to be able to have with a relative or friend or family member, whoever it is, if they are your realtor in the process. So set those expectations up front. Also be very clear about the differences in bias between winning and actually protecting. So let me go into that. Someone may say to you, I don't want you to have to pay anything. This home needs to have all of those breakers changed out in the house, and maybe it does, but in reality, there are 14 other offers that are on the table, and you know what, you're not gonna have that opportunity because the seller's gonna go with someone else. But the main objective was finding a new house for your family. So you wanna be really clear between that bias of I wanna protect you, and I also gotta set the proper expectations of what this market is like. So my second recommendation in using a friend or family member as a realtor is this: set proper expectations about what you want in the process and see if they can align with your friend and family member. Here's my third recommendation for using a friend or a family member as a realtor. This one doesn't sound fun, but it's so important. Have a clear exit strategy. Every time when I partner with another business professional that's out there, we set a contract in order. I always talk about, it's really important for us to know how we're gonna work together here, and that's outlined in the contract. But what's also outlined in the contract is how we're gonna leave this relationship at some point in time. As much as you'd love to work with everyone forever, that's not realistic. You have to set out those terms. This isn't a marriage. You got to find out the way to how you get out of it. So what that actually means is maybe the term that you set on the contract, hey, let's work together for 3 months and see how this goes. And at the end of this, we have an understanding of how we're going to back out of this. or we're trying to sell our home for X amount of dollars within X period of time. Are you able to do that? If we're not able to do that, we want to find a way out of that contract. So set those exit strategies there, and then also have those honest conversations. Hey David, we'd love to use you as a realtor, but we also don't want our friendship to be damaged. That doesn't mean we don't want to use you as a realtor. We just want to set a clear expectations of what it would look like if this deal was to not go together. Let's keep everything clear and on paper. That way we can still be friends afterwards and see each other at the barbecues at the summertime and come over for Christmas or whatever it is, and then make sure that that business relationship didn't interrupt the friendship or the familiar relationship that you might have. So tip number one, ask for the same experience. Tip number two, set your clear expectations for both parties on the table. And tip number three, have a clear exit strategy in the event that you guys are not able to actually achieve your objective together. Thanks so much for watching. Follow for more videos.